Hi, I'm Andy Schlesinger, president of Andrew Toyota Scion. It's been said that word of mouth is the best form of advertising. With that in mind, I invite you to listen to what our customers have to say.
Whatever I needed, the service was done in great timing, and I was totally satisfied.
A few years back, had extensive damage to one of my vehicles, and fortunately the body shop did such a nice job, you couldn't tell it from new. I was very pleased.
Andrew Toyota Scion, 15th and Silver Spring, where customer service is not a department, but our passion.
And now, back to Focus on Diversity with Troy Shaw.
And welcome back to the program. Let's continue on with our diversity discussion. Fake attack. Staff members of an elementary school in Tennessee staged a fictitious gun attack on students during a classroom trip, telling them it was not a drill as students cried and hid under tables. The mock attack was intended as a learning experience and lasted 5 minutes during a week-long trip to a state park. My first notion is, what the H is wrong with these people? In today's world, where we have 32 people getting killed in a university, we have school shootings happening here left and right all across America. Robert, should somebody be fired?
Yeah, definitely somebody needs to be fired if they haven't been. But what we have is a breakdown going on in professionalism in our schools. Mm-hmm. You know, what we have is a situation where there's a breakdown in leadership too. Mm-hmm. To put sixth grade students through this kind of drill, mm-hmm. and to ingrain in them this fear, I'm wondering when the lawsuits are going to start popping up over there.
I see it coming.
And it's just a lesson for all school districts around this country to look at this and learn from this, not to be fools and not to be idiots, and to have your staff and have your administrators in training so that they don't pull these kind of stunts.
Karen, can you imagine what was in the room as these individuals were coming up with this idea? Well, we're going to have this staged attack, and this is a great idea. Is this what has become of the American educational system?
It's pretty frightening. I mean, it would have been interesting to be the fly on the wall in that conference among professional educators. You know, the concern too, the kids are in an unfamiliar setting, they're in the woods. It wasn't even a drill on, these attacks aren't happening in the woods, they're happening on academic campuses. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't even a real trial run for what would happen within the school area. The other issue is kids are robbed of their youth. I mean, whether it's a little girl being shot on her porch jumping rope, or whether it's kids having to go through a terrorist drill in the woods on an otherwise science project type of trip getaway. And at sixth grade level, it's horrifying. And as a parent, I would have been the first one at the school.
But I'd be the first one at my lawyer's office for the most part there. Chris, what do you think?
I would have brought my lawyer with me down to my school with my daughters, and I would have had a real long talk with the superintendent of that school and the principal. I would have made sure there would have been some firings. First of all, we do tornado drills. You should be doing those. If you're going to do a drill of this type, you keep it in an environment where it's going to typically happen, the school. Then you make sure that there are professionals such as police or FBI or whoever is going to be part of that drill process, and make sure that they know the processes. Where are these kids going to go and hide? What are you going to do? Teach them on the run? Oh, go run and hide under this bush. Hopefully they won't see you there. Stupidity at its finest was highlighted at that school by that assistant principal and the rest of the members of that teaching staff.
Well, it was
right
like
there.
Calling fire in the theater. I mean,
Yes.
It could have instigated tremendous injury. It had far-reaching.
And what if it would have been one of those MPS students that carries a gun in his backpack and all of a sudden started firing at that teacher? Then what would have happened?
Come
on.
Now, here's playing devil's advocate, but not that kind of devil. Playing devil's advocate.
What would have ensued?
My point being is that here is a school system that may say that, look, we need to prepare what seemingly seems to be the trend around America. We need to prepare our students to duck and run. This, like you said earlier, Chris, this is a fire drill. I mean, this was a fire drill. This was a tornado drill. What do you think?
Well, there is a need to prepare for these kinds of incidents. Tornado drill, hurricane drill, whatever. But when you do it in this fashion, it just shows that there are a lot of elementary minds in the staff, in the administration, that have yet to grow up the immaturity in that whole school district, or in that school, I shouldn't say that whole school district, in that school is reflected on that staff and on the leadership that helped that staff move this nonsense forward.
Well, what is said about the educational system across America? Right now, we have people of other foreign countries teaching their kids on certain taxes, maybe not as rash and ridiculous as this, but literally preparing them more for the world than our own children. And for the most part, what we're seeing here is just a devolving of educating our kids as a whole.
Look at our test scores that we just got back from the state of Wisconsin just yesterday. You know, you've got one school itself, which was part of North Vision, that had 3% passed the equivalency exam. Then you have a total of the math, I think it was a total of 68% only. I don't mean to be rude, but 68% is not passing in my grade book. And we have just devolved as an education system. And I'll be more than happy to say it right out there to you teachers. Get your shit together, because you are not teaching our students well. And it comes down to the curriculum, it comes down to the school districts, it comes down to our superintendent, who is an absolute failure. And we need to start teaching our children to be better in math, reading, writing. Get the basics in there, and let's start making our children smarter for their way of life in the future.
I guess I would kind of like pass it on to you, Karen. Do you feel the same way as Chris? I mean, tell us what you really think, Chris.
The stats on school that I heard yesterday are pretty dramatic. I mean, these are kids that are going to be unemployable. I mean, as our society grows more technical, there's companies screaming for talented people, and these kids aren't going to be prepared. I think it was 1 in 4 in 10th grade are not at reading level at MPS. 1 in 3 are math illiterate. Part of that, though, I think teaching is part of it. More significant to me goes back to what we talked about in the dietary habits. It's the family unit. Kids don't want to fail. Kids want to please people. They don't start out in life saying, I want to be the biggest failure in the world, but they have to have somebody there that's going to have an encouraging word, and someone's going to foster and say, I know you don't want to do this math assignment, but it's going to mean something to you later. And if you don't have that, you're kind of lost.
And when we come back, we're going to continue to keep our stuff together. Stay with Focus on Diversity. We'll be right back.
Do you know where you are? Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan, do you know where you are?
He could be anywhere, in any corner of the world, where patients trust medical professionals brave enough to hold a life in their hands without hesitation, where there are people who take what is known scientifically and challenge themselves to go beyond. People who are not just practicing medicine, they are creating it.
Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan? Mr. Ryan? Do you know where you are?
He could be anywhere. He just happens to be here.